You're involved in the operations of it before it was franchised. Did you play a part in deciding to franchise the business, or was that your family's decision?
That was the family's decision. I didn't play a part in deciding it, but I think I played a part in really growing this business on the franchise development side. So bringing in candidates that are interested in becoming business owners, walking them through the whole discovery process. And then on the onboarding side, I've taken my experiences owning my own franchise unit and really built out a whole onboarding and support infrastructure for Hudson Valley Swim, just by using my own experiences, working with the franchisors and their experience as well.
Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, where we talk about all things franchising. Now, here's your host, Dr. John P. Hayes.
We're back for another episode of the Franchise Hot Seat. My guest is Nick Gartner. He's a franchisee, but also in franchise development for Hudson Valley Swim. This is a fairly new franchise venture. It's attracted Nick first as a franchisee and then gets him into franchise development. Let's find out why. Nick, say hello and give some of your background.
Hello. First of all, thanks for having me on, Dr. Hayes. I appreciate it. My name's Nick. I've been with Hudson Valley Swim long before we decided to franchise the business. And as we were, I kind of focused in the operations at our corporate locations, and we decided to franchise. And that's when I got brought along doing the development side, which has been, a great experience, a great learning experience, and, excited to see where this is going to take us. So after being a franchise for about a year or so, my brother and I, we decided to open up our own location in Stamford, Connecticut.
So Nick, what is Hudson Valley Swim? And what attracted you to this kind of a franchise?
Well, Hudson Valley Swim, we're a swim school, and we teach all ages, all abilities, whether they're looking to just, learn some survival skills, or they're looking to, learn the basics of swimming or take it to the next level and become a competitive swimmer. We have a program that's basically designed for all ages and all abilities. So, I guess what really attracted me into this business is because, I thought that I could get behind the mission of what we're really trying to do. And my core values myself really aligned with the business. I mean, I've been around it my whole life, so I had a good idea of what I was getting myself into. So I just decided, and it was my brother and I, we both decided that this was going to be a good opportunity for us. And so far, everything's been, pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I guess just the most important thing that we were thinking of is, if we could get behind the core values and actually get excited about what we were going to be doing, that really led my decision into opening up my own location and also working on the development side. I get to see every day people that are interested in becoming franchise owners and talk with them and learn about what their goals are. And we really get to vet them through the whole process if, seeing what it's important to them, seeing what they're interested in doing, and then really translating that to seeing if this is going to be a good opportunity for them. So it's just a great way for me to really get involved with people and help them achieve their goals on the franchisor level and on the franchisee level.
So you mentioned core values a couple of times. And why is that important to you? And should that be important to anyone who's going to buy into a franchise?
Absolutely. Why it's important to me is because, kind of like I was alluding to a little bit earlier before, it really gets me excited. One of our core values is providing exceptional customer service. That's one off the top of my head. And that's something that I've done my whole life, is offering a high level of customer service. So I just thought that, I have experience doing this. I think I can translate it into my own company. And it is really important. When you're owning a Hudson Valley Swim franchise, you have to be comfortable, talking with your customers, getting excited for your students when they're achieving goals, because they're making great accomplishments. So, I think it's extremely important because you want to get excited about what you're doing, and, you want to be able to really get an understanding of what's going to entail in the opportunity that you're looking for, because you want to get behind those core values and really translate that to your customers, to your employees, start building a culture like the franchisor is really recommending doing, and that's part of their blueprint.
You mentioned that before you got involved with Hudson Valley Swim, you knew that the core values of the company matched your core values. How did you find that out early on? Where do you have an opportunity to find out about a franchisor's core values?
Well, let's see, I just understood what it took. I understood the community involvement that was required. I understood the high level of customer service that they offered. I understood, the mission of what was behind what we're trying to do. And it's ultimately to really make a positive impact on communities by, building a great swim lesson program that's going to build confidence for students. It's going to promote enjoyment. And then the most important thing is reduce those incidents of drowning in every community. So I took those values. Those are things that I saw the franchisors doing and everybody who ran our corporate locations. And I saw that they were passionate about what they were doing. And I saw the success that they were having at their locations and building up those relationships with their customer base. I saw how far that took them. So I guess, that's kind of what I realized early on. And I understood that that's what it was going to take to, start this business up and ultimately build relationships with your customers and inside your community as well.
So what were you doing before you became a franchisee?
I was working on the franchise side. So I started out, basically right out of college, I started working in franchise development. Mm-hmm. So that was my, before, in summers of college and even in high school, I was working for the same Hudson Valley Swim corporate locations, doing, a lot of the operations. I was an assistant swim instructor myself. So I really had a good idea of what, of the business.
So this is a family business, obviously, and you're involved in the operations of it before it was franchised. Did you play a part in deciding to franchise the business, or was that your family's decision?
That was the family's decision. I didn't play a part in deciding it, but I think I played a part in really growing this business on the franchise development side. So bringing in candidates that are interested in becoming business owners, walking them through the whole discovery process. And then on the onboarding side, I've taken my experiences owning my own franchise unit and really built out a whole onboarding and support infrastructure for Hudson Valley Swim just by using my own experiences, working with the franchisors and their experience as well.
Before you decided to become a franchisee, you're a young guy, you're out of college, just out of college. What's the most difficult or most challenging point that you have to come to grips with to decide that you should become a franchisee, as opposed to just doing franchise development or getting a job in a company, franchised or not? What's the biggest challenge for someone who doesn't know about franchising necessarily to overcome in order to become a franchisee?
Yeah, I was always interested in owning my own business. But then you take a look at the franchise industry itself and you realize that, you're investing into a business and you have the support of the franchisor. So, whether you're just getting started on day one or you're operational for a couple of years, I realized that, if I had any issues owning my own business, I could go to the franchisor and I can ask them certain questions, seeing what, they have decades of experience building out, their blueprint and their lesson plan, and exactly how everything is ran. So, you have the support of the franchisor throughout your whole tenure as a franchisee. And I guess, when you're thinking of starting up a business, I went the franchising route because I knew I had that support. I always wanted to start up a business, but, you're on your own at that point. So you have to figure everything out from scratch, how you're going to market the business effectively. What insurance policies are you going to get? What kind of employees are you looking for? A whole, for us, in swim lessons, you'd have to build out a whole swim lesson curriculum. So there's a lot of things that you need to figure out on your own. If you don't go the franchise route, where when you're a franchisee, you get to follow their recipe and implement that into your own business. And then you have support to help you out as well.
So you're part of the Gen Z population, that group that's in college now, just coming out of college, been out for a few years. And the Gen Zs don't want a job. Is that true for you? You didn't grow up thinking, I'm studying, I'm getting a college degree so I can get a great job. Was that your plan?
Yeah, I guess everybody like myself, friends I was in college with, all the Gen Zs right now, I've learned statistics that 80% of the Gen Zs are looking to become a business owner. So right out of college, that's kind of what you're geared to do, is look for a job right out of college. But if you have an opportunity to go down a business ownership route, I think someone like myself is going to, take that opportunity head on.
And why is that? Why do you want to be a business owner as opposed to getting a great job?
First, you get to be in control of kind of your own schedule. You get to be in control. Your success is going to be a result of the work that you're putting into your own business, whether you're seeing it right away or not. The work that you're putting into your own business is going to result in your success, where, that might not be the same case in coming out of college and getting a job right out the bat. I think, just being in control, there's tons of advantages of owning a business. So that's kind of what really led me into, getting involved. But Gen Zs, just in general, what I've learned is that, we're looking to own businesses. 80% of us are looking to own those businesses, and we want something that is going to make an impact on communities. Just from myself and people that I've talked with that are around my age group, we want something that's going to serve a greater good, whether it's in your community or not. That's kind of ultimately what led me into owning a Hudson Valley Swim franchise.
So as a Gen Z, do you embrace that value that whatever it is you do, whether it's a job or you own the business, you've got to give back to the community? If that's true for you, why is that important?
Well, I think it's important in any aspect is to just go out and offer a helping hand. I mean, that's what I've learned, whether it's in sales, whether it's in owning your own business, your own business. I think that just going out and offering help to people will only benefit you down the road. And I mean, for the franchisee side, owning the swim school, it's an essential skill. So I feel great about offering this service to people, because I know at the end of the day what I'm doing is going to save lives down the road. It's an essential skill, and that's really important to us, is by offering this program that will essentially save lives. So I think that's a value to me in general in the workplace, and then also on the business ownership side, is going out and just doing things that will honestly help people down the road.
So how does a Gen Z buy a business right out of college? Businesses are expensive, and young college graduates don't really have enough knowledge or experience to know how to succeed in a business. So how do you do that when you're a Gen Z, just got your degree, and you want to be a business owner? How do you afford it?
Well, just what I have learned, there's tons of options, whether you're going down an SBA route. There's many providers in the franchise industry that specialize in this space, and they're going to be able to take, all of your information and try to find a program that's going to be right for you. I was fortunate enough where the loan that I needed wasn't going to be that large, so I didn't really have trouble getting a funding for the business. But just recommending different candidates that are interested in opening their own franchise, when I'm on the development side, everybody has been able to find a program that's going to be a good fit for them.
Why is it important for Gen Zs to give back to the community? I know this is a value that Gen Zs embrace, but what's behind that? Previous generations weren't so considerate. of communities, or not necessarily so. Why is it so important to Gen Zs to give back to the community?
Yeah, I think just giving back to the community only, will offer benefits down the road. It's like I said, it's something that's extremely important to me, is giving back to the community. I like being able to help people out. That's just, a core value of mine. And, the importance of that really leads to, the relationships that you're going to build down the road, the things that you get involved with in your community. You get to see the impact that you're making. Like, this past Friday, we sponsored a Easter Bunny meet and greet where we provided all the pizza, all the juice, the snacks, and the crafts to tons of kids in the Stamford, Connecticut community. And you get to really see and shake people's hands and see the impact that you're going to make in their lives. And to me, that's invaluable.
A lot of people say you Gen Zs are entitled. You're spoiled. You think that's true? Are you an entitled, spoiled kid right out of college and benefiting because you have a family that was already involved in a business that could be franchised?
I wouldn't say that at all. I wouldn't say we were entitled because, when you're franchising, you're completely new to this space in a business you're starting up. I would say that a lot of the responsibility was on myself and my family to not only learn everything about franchising, but to grow that space. We came into this and we didn't know really what franchise. We heard about franchising, and just like everybody else, you're thinking the big food chains. So we didn't really have a full understanding of what franchising was. But, you go out and you start going to some of these events and you start shaking people's hands and meeting people that are industry leaders like yourself. And, I went through the whole CFE program through the IFA. I went out, read a bunch of books about franchising, and really that got me to a point where, I built a lot of the infrastructure out for the franchise as well. So that got us to a point where we could, really expand this franchise. So I wouldn't say that, the franchise business, the location that I operate, or on the franchisor side was really given to us at all. We had to really build this out, and it took a lot of time and a lot of long hours on both ends to make this successful. So, on the franchisor side, that's one thing, but the franchisee side is another. You're your own business at the end of the day. You have a franchisor that's going to be there, train you, support you throughout your whole process. But, at the end of the day, it's your job to take the recommendations that they're giving you and implement that into your own business. And, doing certain things, like if you're an underperforming franchisee, there are certain things that you could do that I consider easy fixes, like spending more in marketing. If you're underperforming, that's probably one of the first places that a franchisor is going to look. It's how much you're spending in marketing. And to me, it's expensive to spend more, but that's probably an easy fix. One of the hardest things that I found was really taking, in not staying true to the mission, but really translating that into your employees and translating that into your customers so that you're building a culture where everybody is on the same mission and everybody's starting to understand what your values are, and they can translate that into everybody they're working with.
One of the criticisms of Gen Zs is that they want to live their lifestyle more so than they want to put in time working. They want flexibility, the Gen Zs. They don't want a 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Is that true for you? And if so, how does that blend into franchising?
Well, honestly, to be completely honest, I love my 9 to 5 job and I love what I do on both ends. So I think it's, that is the criticism that Gen Z takes, is that we don't want 9 to 5s. And that is pretty true across the board. But I think if you find a business or even a corporate job that you like and you're excited to go to work to every day, that it doesn't really feel like work at that point. Like, I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing by helping people understand if Hudson Valley Swim is going to be a good business for them. And then on the flip side, offering a service to the community. It's something that, like I said, it's invaluable. And, I think if all Gen Zs would, look at jobs that match their mission and match their core values, that's something where, you don't dread going to work every day.
Advice for your Gen Z counterparts who are still in college or just coming out of college. What should they be doing in college that you didn't do or that didn't prepare you well enough? Or what should Gen Zs be studying that will prepare them for a future that's going to be satisfying to them personally?
Yeah, so I think, just being in college, you're pretty young to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. So you enter college and you're at a very young age, and then you're supposed to pick a major or a minor that, you want to focus in for a long period of time. But, that's not really the case. I think a lot of the lessons that you're going to learn in college can translate into a lot of different positions in a lot of different industries. Franchising was one that I never learned about in college. I didn't understand how niche of a market this was and how, ripe the whole industry was. So I can't even say that I focused on franchising. I really found the classes that I took as, just different core credits. Like one of the things that we did was an entrepreneur course. And this is when I really started to realize what I was, what I wanted to do. And this was my junior year in college, where, it was a course that took a full year. And basically what we had to do was come up with a product or a service that we thought, would be kind of just serve as a great entrepreneurial job or business to open up. And my team and we decided to, start to build a business plan for what we called a reverse vending machine. So what that was you take your water bottles, or you take anything that you could return, and you basically put that in the machine, and 5 cents or whatever the value was gets contributed to your meal plan. It's 5 cents, but at the end of the day, we weren't sure how much of a focus was really on our campus for recycling. And we just thought, if it would entice people to start recycling, it could be a business. Now, it never got put to market, but that's when I realized that, being a business owner that's going to serve a greater good is something that I was really interested in. And, you don't really realize that until you're looking back on it. But you could take some of the classes that you meet, you could take some of the things that you learn from certain classes and really start to develop out what you're interested in doing. So I think that's kind of, what I would recommend. Mm-hmm. You're not going to, most likely you're not going to come right out of college and get a job that you want to do for the rest of your life. If you are, then, hats off. But I think, we're all young, and there's a lot of time to decide what you really want to do.
On a similar vein, advice that you would give to students who are in high school now, getting ready to go to college, what would you study if you could do it all over again, knowing what you know now?
Well, actually my first semester in college, I came in as a physics major. I was interested in, an engineering route. And that was the major that I had to take in order to fulfill that job position. So, it was after my first semester where I decided, I'm going to go a business route, because physics was just, a completely different animal than what I was used to. So coming into from high school to college, I decided to I actually went to SUNY Geneseo. It's a state school up in here in New York. And the main reason I went there was to play soccer. It was a great academic school. I love the campus. I love the soccer team. And I love some of the majors that they offered as well, and what they were recognized for. So, I thought that sports were pretty valuable to me. It was nice being able to go into college and click with a group right away. So I guess, when you're looking to go from high school to college, it's hard to say exactly what. I'm trying to think of a better way to word this. I think you just have to really understand what you value as a person, and you want to go to a college where whether it's a big college where there's tons of people, or if you want to go to more of a tight-knit college. I think those are things that you have to consider when you're evaluating the schools and the majors that you want to pursue.
So would you recommend, Nick, that students headed into college study franchising?
Yes, I wish that we had something similar to that. Unfortunately, in my high school, we didn't have many classes where I could focus on business ownership or franchising in general. But I think if I did, that's definitely a unique class to take. It's a unique, thing to focus on, because you don't hear about franchising in high school or really in college for the most part. At least based on my experiences, I did not. So I think that, if I did learn about that earlier on, it would be something that I would at least entertain.
How many of your friends while you were in college knew the word franchising or ever talked about franchising?
I would say probably never. Nobody ever really talked about franchising in college or in high school. The only time we talked about franchising is when we were learning about some of the fast food chains, and maybe some of them, they're pretty low cost to get into. So that entices you, and you're thinking, maybe this is something that I can get involved with. So my senior year in college, and this was before we ever decided to franchise a business, we looked at a franchise opportunity as my brother and I. So we were looking at that to become owners at one point, because we're both, he studied to have his MBA. I graduated with my bachelor's degree from Geneseo, and we were looking at, opportunities. And I think from a young age, my brother and I always knew that we wanted to go into business together. That was something that, we always planned on doing. And, then we started to look at some franchises. We knew that, we're going to get the help of building out this unit. And we were very young, so this would have taken, a big investment for us at the time. So I think that may have been what really led, our family to franchising our own swim school and, offering this opportunity to others.
What's the advantage to Gen Zs when they're in college if they study franchising? What do you get out of that you're not going to get studying any other discipline? Marketing, communications, leadership. What's the big benefit to the Gen Zs studying franchising?
You are focused, and you have a specific market that you're focused in. So marketing it's very important, to have a marketing plan and all those roles, but that can be applied in many different industries. When you're in franchising and you focus in franchising and you start to understand, things about legal, things about discovery, about the support that a franchise is going to offer, you're very focused. It's like, majoring in accounting. You're going to most likely become an accountant. So now when you're looking at business very general, like a business administrative major, it's very general. So now if you focus in on franchising, it's like I said, it's a very niche market, and you come in with a strong advantage. Someone like myself who didn't study franchising at all and had to go out and learn everything from scratch, I would say, your students specifically are at a huge advantage by understanding a lot about the industry in general prior to ever entering.
So, Nick, let me ask you, how would a Gen Z come up with the money to invest in a franchise? Just out of college, 21, 22 years old, probably not much money saved, maybe still paying for college. How are you going to get money to invest to become a franchisee?
Yeah, if you have a family member that's willing to support you, you're at a huge advantage for starters. But you're looking at different opportunities. You have to understand what the financials are in their FDD, and what that range of investment is really going to take. And majority of the time, either a franchisor is going to offer funding through their program, or they're going to have different companies that they can refer you over to and just talk about the different programs that may be right for you. If you're a good fit for a franchisor and they want you to be a part of their system, because you have to remember, when you're talking to a franchisor, they want to understand if you're going to be somebody that's a good fit for them as well. So you're obviously looking at opportunities of what might interest you, but the franchisor does have to select you and award you that territory at the end of the day. But going back to, the original question, when you're looking at funding sources, if you have a parent or anybody in your family that's willing to support you financially, you're at a huge advantage. So we were lucky enough where we didn't have to take out a huge loan, and we got funding through that way. And
does Hudson Valley Swim provide funding for franchisees?
No, we don't provide funding ourselves, but we do have some great relationships with some top industry providers that specialize in franchising itself. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely an avenue that I would recommend.
One of the misnomers about franchising is that people will say, I don't have $1 million. It must cost $1 million to become a franchisee. What's it take to become a Hudson Valley Swim franchisee?
Yeah, so the initial investment range to become a Hudson Valley franchisee is from $80,000 to $120,000. It's not $1 million investment. And the reason why is because we're not building out pools. We're actually renting pools from existing facilities. These facilities can include, gyms, hotels, athletic centers, aquatic clubs, really any place that has a body of water. Because a lot of times, if they're not running a swim program, it's underutilized. So it really is a win-win on both sides to rent pool space from existing facilities. So no, you don't need any infrastructure at all. And it's taken us anywhere from 75 to 90 days in order to get somebody from the moment the territory is awarded into them becoming operational. So less than 3 months, that's what we've been able to do with our franchisees. Not saying it won't take longer. First, in some scenarios, maybe they're looking to hire out a general manager. So that may carry out the actual onboarding process a little bit longer. But the investment range, just compared to the franchise industry itself, it is considered a low investment opportunity. And just from the candidates that we've been working with and the candidates that have been awarded territories, they haven't had a problem getting approved for funding.
So if I do make this $100,000 investment in Hudson Valley Swim, after 2 years, 3 years or so, what kind of money will I be making as a franchisee?
Yeah, I never guarantee any kind of money for any candidate. When I'm working with people, I don't typically guarantee anything. But when you are looking at the process, when you are looking and you're vetting franchises, you're able to go through their FDD and see the performance of each one of the franchise locations. So, and that also includes the corporate locations. So you can go through and get an understanding of exactly what kind of success that you can have in a franchise organization. Our franchisees have been very successful so far, where they've been able to at least break even on their entire investment in the first year. So how it kind of works in Hudson Valley Swim, we've had success in the first 2 months of getting our franchisees to a point where they are operationally break even. They're at an operational break even point. So if you can get around, so how we kind of operate is we have sessions, and each session is about 7 or 8 weeks long. So classes will meet once per week for 30 minutes each. And if you can finish your first session with 50 students or so, you know that you're going to break even on all those operational costs. So your payroll, insurance, rent, just everything, credit card fees, everything that's included in what your day-to-day expenses will be. That's where you can, break even. And you're not going to make your initial investment back in the first 2 months, but over the course of time, you should be able to make your total initial investment back in that first year. My brother and I, when we started the Stanford location, we came out the gate very strong. And we actually started out with 100 students in our first 2 months. So not only did we break even, but we were running a profitable business within 2 months of starting. Every session.
Your top franchisees, let's say, after several years, after break even, what am I going to take home typically?
We've been operating for 2 years. So our longest tenured franchisee's been doing it for a year and a half. He's at a point right now where he's averaging close to 300 students per session that he has. I think that right there, the profit margins that he's experienced have been, in the range of 45% profit margins. So you take a look at how much he's charging per class. I mean, within the first couple of years, you should be running a six-figure business.
Is it advertising and marketing in the local community that drives the number of students you're going to get in a session as a franchisee? Is that how that works?
Yeah, there are four ways that we like to break out our marketing. First, everybody knows Google, Facebook, the social media, digital media marketing. That's a big component of our marketing program. And we do want our franchisees to spend a certain amount because we see the impact that it's going to have on each location. So that's one of the ways. So that's
how much is that?
Marketing.
How much is the expectation of what a franchisee needs to spend in advertising, either quarterly or annually?
On digital marketing, they should be spending around $3,000 a month. So we found that if you're on Google and you're spending more for ads, it's only going to perform better. Your ranking is going to get better. If you're going out on Facebook and Instagram, that's where people are scrolling, and you want to go out and reach those markets, you need to be spending around that in that range. And if you're not, and you might be underperforming, that's probably the first place where we're going to look. So that's one of the components of marketing. So that's the digital media marketing side. Now you have your on-site marketing. A lot of our franchisees operate out of fitness facilities. So you have an opportunity to market directly to their members. That helps drive your enrollments up, especially when the members are seeing lessons happening. They have questions. So they're going to ask questions. That's your chance to close somebody right on the spot. So that's the on-site marketing program. We have all different marketing materials, business cards, postcards, table covers, roll-up banners. It's tons of things that we can keep on site, but you can also do a lot of what we call off-site marketing. And that's where you're going out into the community and you're going into certain businesses, local businesses, and helping promote them, and leaving your business cards over there. So you're getting involved in the community. You get involved in different Facebook group chats, and you can reach out. We have a Stanford's Moms Facebook group chat where we got involved with one of the owners of that organization. And she's constantly, asking us if we want to get involved in this event, sponsor this event, be a vendor here. So you go out, and in New York, it's mandatory for pediatricians to promote swimming lessons. I don't know how it is in all states, but that's how it is in New York. So you go into the pediatricians, let them know who you are, the service that you're offering. I think it's so important to get involved in the community if you're in this business specifically, because it just goes a long way. Because not everybody is on social media every day. So you go out and you shake hands with people in person. It really goes a long way. You let them know who you are. So that's kind of what we do for the offsite marketing. And then you have your referrals. So referrals drive up your enrollments a lot. So if you have that's why we emphasize customer service and the actual service of the swimming lesson program. It's so important because if a customer has a good experience, they're going to go recommend you to other of their friends or their family, and they're going to start bringing more and more students. So you can do things like offer a referral discount for every person they bring over. They can get a discount for their future session. So they're coming back into your program and they're bringing over more people. So referrals drive the business a lot. So those are kind of the components that we like to focus on.
In franchise development, what's the most difficult challenge that you face to convince someone to become a Hudson Valley Swim franchisee? What are the obstacles to getting a deal done?
Getting a deal done, so we like to focus in a lot of the markets where we have pools. We have national contracts with a lot of pools. So we do like to focus in some of those markets. So I guess one of the obstacles and one of the ways that we really like to focus on is we want to make sure that as a franchisee, you're going to be comfortable in the market and the facility that you're going to be operating out of. So that's one of the things that we do during discovery. And if we have a candidate that's interested in a certain market, we do want to be able to, offer them a facility. And if we can't find one, we're not going to just award you the territory and then, say you're on your own at this point to go find a facility, because pools are not as available as certain retail space. So that's, we're in a niche market there where we want to make our franchise owners comfortable with the location that they're going to be operating out of before they ever even get awarded that territory.
So the challenge isn't so much with the candidate who wants to become your franchisee. The challenge is finding a swimming pool that you can use.
Yeah, and we do have access to many pools in the U.S. I mean, hundreds of pools in some of the most popular markets. So in those markets, no, it's not a challenge because we do have those facilities ready available. But then there are certain smaller markets where we're not entirely sure of the pool space. So we want to make the franchise owner or the candidate comfortable in that market and comfortable where they're going to operate before they do move forward.
How about personally, what's stopping people from becoming a Hudson Valley Swim franchisee? What do they have to be convinced of or realize or come to terms with?
What may stop people is that you have to be comfortable building relationships with your customers. You have to be comfortable communicating effectively with your instructors. The instructors that we look to hire are very talented at what they do. So, and we do offer assistance in hiring. So we do want you to have a person that's going to perform, exceptionally in the water when they're teaching students.
Is a franchisee going to be giving lessons, or does the franchisee hire a lifeguard, for example, to give the lessons?
Typically, we're hiring out somebody to give the lessons. If somebody does, want to be an owner and they have experience swimming in teaching swimming lessons, that's a different story. But for the, I'd say 95% of the people I talk to, we're hiring out instructors.
What's the difference, Nick, between a franchisee who's going to take home $100,000 a year and the franchisee who's going to take home $50,000 a year? And maybe that second one isn't such a happy franchisee. What's the difference between these two?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, your franchisor is going to outline the mission and the core, and I keep referring to that, but they're going to outline their mission and core values very early on in your whole discovery process. Now, it's your job to implement that into your actual location. The franchisor is going to give you every resource and every bit of support that they can offer. And it's your job to take those resources and implement that into your business. Now, I think one of the big differentiators between somebody that's high performing and not as performing as well as they'd like to be is that right there. It's taking your mission and core values and building a culture within your community, also inside your organization. That's probably the most difficult thing to do. So if you could do that, and you're in a good market, there's no reason why you shouldn't be operating a successful franchise.
You spoke earlier about the importance of being comfortable building relationships in order to succeed as a franchisee, which means that on a DISC scale, and I don't know if you're familiar with a DISC scale, some of our viewers are familiar with that because they hear me speak about DISC so often. On the DISC scale, you need an I for a franchisee. Your more successful franchisees are most likely going to be the I, influencer personality. Probably the D as well, but the I really thrives on building relationships. Do you take anything like that personality profiling into consideration when you award a franchise? Do you want to know the personality profile of your candidate?
So my role in Hudson Valley Swim, I do focus in the broker relationships. So I actually vet a lot of the broker candidates that come in. And I love it when a broker does hand over that profile, and I can go and look through and really understand how a candidate is going to react on certain things and what's important to them. That way, before I ever even get on the phone with them or get on a Teams call, I know exactly who the person I'm dealing with. So I don't do that myself, and that's typically because I'm working with a lot of the broker leads that do come in. So I guess on our sales team, who do focus in a lot of the organic growth, they do take into account the personality, and taking those tests, and just asking a lot of questions early on so that they can get an understanding of who this person is that we're talking with.
Now, speaking of brokers and the broker community, and they capture leads for you of candidates who become franchisees or who are potentially going to become franchisees. How do you feel about that process of working with brokers? There are so many of them, countless number of them. How do you feel about that process as the head of franchise development for Hudson Valley Swim? Is it expensive, affordable? Do you prefer working with brokers over you doing the work yourself to cultivate leads and bring them into Hudson Valley Swim?
I do like that relationship with brokers. I think it's a way for us to get two sides of a story. When you're working with a certain candidate and you build out that trust with that candidate, and they may have a different trust with your broker. Now you can have your introduction call and you go through your franchise presentation, and then you can go to the broker and say, hey, have a question on this, wondering if the candidate has told you anything. So it's a great relationship that we've built out with a lot of brokers, and we do have a lot that we work with closely and that we've built out great relationships with, so that they know our brand, they know the markets that we're interested in opening up at, and we work with them. I talk to the brokers at least once a week when we have a certain candidate, whether it's just to send an update or anything. Now, I'd say that the broker route, if you're looking at it, we're not taking our franchise fee as a way that we're relying on to make money. So when you change your mindset, I guess, from looking at making money off of the royalties, that's kind of where we're looking. So when you're working with that broker, you probably wouldn't have gotten that lead unless the broker referred them over to you. So we're happy to give the brokers their commission and everything.
Nick, you've got 6 franchisees currently. You just got started recently selling franchises, and you've got 15 markets with those 6 franchisees. A year from now, how many franchisees will you have?
So we have 6 franchisees at the moment with 15 locations.
Okay.
So we are fairly new in, we just started in 2022. But the growth that we've been seeing is something that, we didn't want to grow too fast. We didn't want to work with an FSO and blow up the company. One, because we want our first, 30 to 50 franchisees are going to be perfect fits for our organization. And I was alluding to a lot of the qualities that we're looking for in a franchisee. So it is very important for us to vet these people and ultimately approve them to become franchise owners in our organization. So, now we're at a point where the infrastructure is built out. The learning management system is effective. The support structure that we have built in right now, whether it's weekly meetings, doing site visits, monthly, organization calls where we have everybody on those meetings and just bouncing ideas off of each other. We found that our infrastructure that we've built out, it's effective and it's efficient. So now we're at a point right now where we're ready to see this kind of growth. This year, we're projecting to add on an additional 20 units just by, the pipeline that we've built out and what we, the future opportunities that I see us moving forward with. So I think adding on an additional 20 units is something that we're comfortable with. And we have the support and we have the infrastructure built out to be ready for that kind of growth.
Let me ask you this. Nick, does your typical franchisee, do they own one market or are they owning multiple markets? You have 6 franchisees, but you have more than double that number in markets covered.
That's right. And actually our first franchisee has just started operating his third location. So his third territory he closed on this year. I think all of the franchisees that are in our infrastructure right now or in our organization, they're looking at expansion opportunities. So this is a business that's scalable. You really start to see those economies of scale when you go on location number 2 and then location number 3. Your expenses aren't doubling at that point. So you get to see really how scalable this opportunity is. So I guess, all of our franchise owners at the moment we've had discussions, and some of these discussions are ongoing, where we're looking to, expand into other markets as well.
When you take on a second, third, fourth market, are you paying an additional franchise fee?
So the way that we're set up right now is we do have an area development program where a franchisee has an opportunity to get the second franchise territory at $20,000. But that needs to be, included up front in the initial agreement. Now, if you were looking to open up a second location or a third location, those franchise fees are at the full cost as of right now. Yep.
So, Nick, I would like you as a Gen Z to give 3 reasons to your fellow Gen Zs as to why they should consider buying a franchise.
It's the training and support that you get. I think that is critical. I think someone like myself who had concerns of just starting up my own business from scratch, I may be blindly entering a new market. So having that training and then going through, each week and having set goals to accomplish and having set educational sessions that we had to sit through and being in person and actually witnessing, getting to experience what a day in the life of a franchisee really meant and what the responsibilities were. You get to have an understanding of exactly what you're going to be doing before you ever even open the business. And then once you're operational, you have the training up front, and then you're going to have the support during your whole tenure of being a franchisee. So that's number one. Number two, there is an upfront initial investment. You get to go and talk with other franchise owners to validate the business. That's one of the biggest things. You don't get to do that in a new business, and in just a startup business in a brand new location. You don't get to validate. You don't get to validate when you're investing in the stock market. You get to validate in the franchise industry. So that's a very important reason as well. Reason number 3 as to why you really should consider franchising is because all of us want to become business owners, and all of us really, majority of us do want to become business owners. Majority of us want to work in a job that we do appreciate and that we do wake up and we want to, we're excited to go to work. So I think, a reason number 3 is to really why you should be looking at franchising is because you really get to vet the whole process. You have an opportunity and you get to pick a franchise that is going to be perfect for, what you stand for and the, the time commitment that you're looking to put in to the business. So that's really some of the things that you get to vet when you're, looking at different opportunities.
Nick, what would you say to a Gen Z looking at franchising? What are they going to get out of investing in a Hudson Valley Swim? Why should they do that rather than some other franchise?
So, right from the start, and I was talking about it a little bit earlier, right from the start, I'm kind of alluding to that I want you comfortable in the location that you're going to be operating at before you ever even close. So that right there, and that's not the case with every franchise. For the most part, you're going out and you're closing on this franchise, and now you're working with the real estate guy to lock in a lease. Or you're going out, and maybe it's your responsibility to find your own location to operate out of. We want you comfortable in the location before you ever even close on that. So you're comfortable in your location, you're comfortable with the market, the demographics that surround it, because you're only going to be pulling in customers from a certain radius. So you're comfortable with, the income level in that market, the demographics, and just, I guess, all the surrounding real estate there before you even open. So now once you do decide to become a Hudson Valley Swim owner, we walk through, we introduce you on a discovery day where we invite our serious candidates up to meet us in person. You have an opportunity to go through and meet the vendors that we're working with. So who's your marketing consultant? You're going to have an opportunity for them to either Zoom or, make an in-person presence at the discovery day. Our insurance guys, our aquatics director, his name is Sean. He works with the swim instructors. Sean trains and works with all the swim instructors so that they know our swim curriculum. They know exactly the terminology and the skills that need to be taught on a weekly basis. So, that's on the aquatic side, and the support that we offer, the fact that we want you in a comfortable location, we want to see you succeed. So we're doing everything we can to help you out. If you have a certain obstacle that you need to overcome, we're going to give our best recommendations, our 20 years of experience in this industry, and really be able to help you come up with a solution. At the end of the day, it's your business and it's your responsibility to implement those solutions. But, we are there to support you. We want to see you succeed. And we have the support and the infrastructure prepared to really support the expansion that we're seeing.
All right, Nick, thank you. That was great. We covered a lot of topics, a lot of great information, particularly for Gen Zs to consider, but even older generations as well, who might be interested in this kind of franchise. So thank you for spending time with me.
Of course. I appreciate you having me on here, Dr. Hayes. Let me know if there's anything else I can answer for you. If you ever need me back on, I'm happy to do so.
Oh.
Thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast with Dr. John P. Hayes. Tune in next time for more conversation around all things franchising.